Hello, I'm Sarah Poet. I hope this finds you well. And I am pausing here today to share a story about a conversation that I recently had with my son. He is almost 14 years old. And when I shared this story with a friend of mine who is actually a men's coach, she said to me, "Way to go, mama." And so I just wanted to share this story, as inspiration and just as an invitation, like food for thought. Don't know exactly why I'm sharing it, but I actually have this kind of unique, like conglomeration of skills and tools, and I just want to mention that because I think that this information can be inspiring to parents, men, women wanting to raise the masculine differently. I'm passionate about all of these things. So I am obviously a mother of a 14-year-old child. I am a single mother, so I parent him in my house. It's just the two of us. I am a feminine masculine integration, you could say subject expert, I've been called. I'm also a couples coach, and I have a former career in education, specifically social and emotional education and holistic education. And I have always been very, very interested around the development of boys and masculinity. So, very interesting sort of conglomeration of things that I bring to the table. And I have really tried to ask my child over and over to do a TikTok channel with me because our our interactions are kind of hilarious sometimes. He's a really deep thinker. We have great conversations, and I think that it would bring a lot to the world for he and I to share some of those conversations, except that he is not really into having a TikTok channel with his mother as a teenager. Go figure. So here I am giving you an inside look into some of what our conversations are about. So for whatever it brings you. So we were talking about him growing up and how to like take care of a future partner and a future baby. I know, big stuff, right? So he said to me in the car one day, thank God he still talks to me. And if he knew I did videos like this, not sure he would talk to me as much, but I'm taking my chances here because education is good. So he said to me, when I have a girlfriend in the future and we have a baby. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about the word girlfriend and the baby, and he was actually also talking about like work and, like shared labor and shared responsibility. Okay. So he's like contemplating these things and he's almost 14. So I was like, okay, well, let's talk about this structure of this family and this like arrangement as you are imagining that. And I said, tell me more about girlfriend. And he said, well, I don't really think I need to be married. And I said, I know that I had two children before I was married. I have two children, the first of which was adopted. So he has a sister that he knows as his sister, but I did not raise her. I had that child when I was 19, and it open adoption, and that's another story for another day. And then all I ever wanted to be was a mother, and so 9 years after my daughter was born and I lost her, then I had this beautiful son. And so I had both of those children to two different men, and out of wedlock, so to speak, I then married his father when he was 18 months old, and we divorced when he was 5 years old. So I said to him, son, I know that sometimes parents give advice that they didn't follow themselves. And I have some of that for you from lived experience. And I said, it would be wonderful for you to actually have a really stable situation and a lot of planning before you have this baby. And I know that, marriage, and there are all kinds of societal rules about, you should be married before you have a baby. But I said some of those are actually really great ideas, because what that provides is stability and planning. And that will actually set your whole entire household up for like more success. Okay, so now he's considering this in this conversation, And he said, well, okay, at Dad's house, like they both work. There are two adults in the home at Dad's house, and I don't want to talk too much about Dad's house because it's like none of my business. But this other like template that he receives for relationship and what that looks like, and like for potential child rearing and things like that, like what that looks like is different from the ideal that I would present to him, like if I were partnered, or if like I were partnered and considering having a child. So here I am talking about things with the child that I am not really able to give to him through the example of a lived template right now, which is a very interesting way to parent, right? And so it's like, okay, well, here's the ideal, but it would be so much better if I were able to give him like an experience template. And alas, that has not happened at this moment in time. So, and a younger version of me, when he was younger, did attempt to partner so that he would receive a different relational template. Backfired a little bit. So, sometimes the ideal is not exactly what we are living, and we need to reach for these, unified and like recoded templates for what union can look like. So the other point that I shared with him was, I encouraged him to, as he's like considering this planning and considering this, okay, what does it look like if this woman that I'm partnering with, partner, girlfriend, wife, if she's going to have a baby, if we're going to have a baby and she's going to like, I started talking to him about, okay, she's going to hold that baby in her body for 9 months. And she is going to birth that baby, which takes a lot of energy. And then she's going to feed that baby, presumably from her body, which takes a lot of energy. And she's going to be sleep deprived. And she is going to go through a whole process to bring a baby into your world. I said to him, son, at that point, your responsibility is to cover her entire life and all of your needs and all of her needs and all of the baby's needs, all of her needs financially. Primarily, I was talking to him about financially. Financially, you need to be able to cover all of those needs for a given amount of time so that she can go through that entire process without worrying about whether or not her needs, her security, her safety, her provision is going to be provided for. And this was kind of a new concept for him because he does not see this template being given to his mother, and he does not see this template in his other house. And he said, why? And, because he's got this like 50-50 kind of assumption. And I said, well, because you have different responsibilities. So, and I'm talking to him because it's not progressive to have a 50-50 split, in my judgment, in my opinion. It is not progressive to have a woman be financially responsible for 50% of the household, or to share these things, equitably, because she's going to inevitably be giving, different, like financially unquantifiable contributions toward the household that she should not, in my opinion, be also simultaneously responsible for contributing financially, at that time. And so hopefully I retemplated something inside of the masculine consciousness of this young being that I am so blessed to call my son. The next generation of masculine, or, a being who is in this next generation of masculinity. But I encouraged him to think about that, and he didn't argue, to my remembrance. He didn't argue with this, with this idea. And then I also talked to him, not in a negative way, but just like, let's look at what happened with your dad and I. We didn't have that agreement. We weren't married. And I said to him, when I got pregnant, which was not planned, that's okay. Over 50% of pregnancies are not planned. It's okay. And with planning comes structure and, stability. And so ideally, my son will have that. And his masculinity will be able to bring that through the planning, the structure, the consciousness, the deliverance of structure and stability for his family system. That is what I'm saying. Like, that is his responsibility. That is what I am trying to encode in the child. And I said, we didn't have a plan. We didn't have the savings, and I was the primary income earner in terms of, like, I earned more. We both worked, but I earned more because I had a master's degree in education at that point, at that juncture. And then actually when he was 2, I went back for a second master's because I thought, well, it's all up to me, and I already have this education, so I have to keep climbing the ladder, and I have to keep overachieving so that I can ensure that there will be more money coming into the home. So I was in the masculine, energetic. And when we got pregnant, and this I did let my son know, when we got pregnant, I knew all about holistic child raising. I knew all about the ideals that I would have for, really secure attachment and staying home and breastfeeding and all of these things. And I had no idea how to make that happen. And my heart wanted it so badly, especially after losing my first child and losing my first chance at being a mother. I wanted to cherish every single second of this next child's life, of my second child's life. And so, I wanted that. And my partner at the time, his father, said, you should have 2 years at home. And I was like, oh yes, I should have 2 years at home. Thank you so much. I should have 2 years at home. Okay, how are you going to make that happen? There was no answer. There's no answer. There was no plan. There was no action. There was no implementation. There was no, I will go out and earn more. There was, you should have, you and this child should have this. Bloop. Nothing to make it happen. And so I saved enough for a 4-month maternity leave, and then his mother gifted me another 3 months of not having to work so that I could breastfeed, so that I could get the child through to 7 months on solid foods, and so that I could just have that time with my second baby, since I really absolutely missed it with my first. And so I had a 7-month maternity leave, and then I worked out a 4-day work week to go back to year-round education. And then I went back and I got a second master's, and I kept fucking trying to make it work as a woman until I said no more. And I don't want that to happen to my son. I don't want him to give the financial burden to provide to, I don't want him to give that to his future girlfriend, partner, wife, and then to have it backfire on him and all of the ways that that wounding perpetuates inside of men. I don't want that. And so I'm actually empowering him by telling him, you know what, it's actually your responsibility to cover everything for your family. And in doing so, it is righteous. It is a privilege. It feels fucking good. It feels good to be able to have that to give to your family. So I shared this with another single mom of a boy, and she said, "Oh my God, that's a great idea to have these conversations with them." So thank you for your time in watching this video. And I hope that it has inspired something. Please share it. Please share it with a mom, with a dad, with, have conversations with your kiddos. But, it's like a very interesting dance to know, these ideals maybe of feminine, masculine, of conscious relationships, and then to also be living the changing of the template, like the retemplatization of the consciousness templates, while we're still bringing them into our own realities. And so it's like a work in progress all the time. Like we do what we can. And if you're not living in your ideal relationship or living in your ideal exchange agreement or financial situation, if you are not living that ideal right now without shame and blame or talking badly about the other parent, that kind of thing, you can be having conversations and asking your kids about what their ideals are, what their plans are, and just get them talking about it, get them thinking about it, because teenage time is identity formation time. And my son participates in, rites of passage groups, masculine mentoring, etc. And it's all a piece of the puzzle that he's going to figure out and continue to figure out. But I will say that at this time, he has talked about being both a counselor and therapist to adolescent boys and a counselor and therapist to couples and relating relationships. So, I do love the human that he is becoming, and we will continue to retemplate. I like that, retemplate the consciousness of how to recode right relationship among masculine, feminine, among resource exchange, and do it in all of these levels and all of these ways. If I can be of support to you in your child rearing, in your single parenting, in your adventures with teenagers, in your relationship as a couples coach, please reach out to me at sarahpoet.com. If you have enjoyed this video, all 18 minutes and 18 seconds of it, at this time, then I invite you to please share it with a friend with a personal recommendation as to why they should watch. Please keep having conscious conversations with your kiddos. They count, they matter. Thank you.